Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Monday Musings, Danny SportsWrap. Well, one of these days, one of these weeks, one of these months, Monday Musings will be chock full of games and analysis and sports and just purely that, maybe an occasional offbeat story. But for now, we are still in the new normal where we are coping, not moping, we hope, and trying to find ways to creatively not just pass the time, but use the time. And a lot of that happened this week, and I'll go through some of mine. And then in the second segment, talk about perhaps the few scraps of sports news that we have and maybe dream up a thing or two. There's a lot of dreaming up. The NBA just concluded a competition and things like that. I don't know how many people watched that. I didn't. Maybe I should have. But I was doing some other things on a Saturday night as well. So we're not yet to where Monday Musings really is a sports wrap. It's more of a life wrap. And that sports wrap, pseudo life wrap, comes your way next, right here. We're visiting with Larry Marshall, former Chiefs defensive back and punt returner and now a Chiefs ambassador. Larry is a former pro football player with the aches and pains that come with that. And moving on in age, as we all are, what do the Canaway CBD products do for you?
It's been a great relief for me. Being a punt and kickoff returner, collisions were a mainstay of my career, and these Canaway products, the salve especially, has really helped me try to get through every day with the aches and pains that I've had over a career of 7+ years in the NFL.
I get similar benefits as well, particularly with my back. Certainly wasn't a football player. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information about the great products themselves?
Well, I'm so enthused about it, Dana. They just contacted me at larrymarshall.canaway.com, and I can give them all the information they need to help them get through the day as well.
Start gaining all the benefits that Larry and I do from the trusted and reliable line of Canaway products. As Larry said, visit larrymarshall.canaway.com and get information on all the great products from Canaway.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery, wishing you well while you stay safe during this time of uncertainty. Due to the recent news, you won't be able to get the same in-restaurant experience at the 23rd Street Brewery that you've come to expect over the past 16 years. But you can get the same delicious items prepared with the highest level of staff cleanliness available for carryout and delivery through our partners Eat Street. You can also still enjoy our craft beers and crowlers for to-go service. So remember, stay safe, and together we will all get through this time of uncertainty.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back to Monday Musings, COVID style, as we persevere, move on, stay safe, stay home, try to get things rolling. And maybe we sort of saw some cracks in the armor on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, some decent news out of New York, an occasional scrap of sunshine amidst the clouds. One thing I noticed during the times that we go through all of this, that every cloudy day seems worse. We treasure our sunny days, and you really can't expect weather to be consistent and nice when it's April. We've always had erratic weather in April, and that's been the case as well. And we'll get one really nice day, and then the next day it'll be cold, and then we'll have overnight freezes like we're having for a couple of days now, and you worry about your flowers and do things like that. But under these circumstances, when you are at home and you're doing precious little, you do appreciate the sunshine a little bit more, and the days we have it, you kind of have to treasure it. And one thing that we did treasure on a nice day was my wife returning to the game of golf for the first time in 15 years. She literally had not played golf in that stretch of time. That's an estimate. It may have been a little bit more than that, I think, actually. But last Sunday, we went out and got her some golf clubs, a used set of golf clubs, and she was ready to go back at it. When we first met, she played a lot of golf. Her dad was a golf enthusiast, and she often spent time with him on the golf course when she was young, and she was a pretty good golfer. But as time went on and she started her business and was very busy, she really couldn't play the game as much, and because she had some form of aptitude, not having the time to practice and not being able to play as well as she would just led her to kind of throw up her arms and quit. Well, these are different times and different circumstances, and last Wednesday we went out and went to good old Painted Hills, obviously a short and, on this day, congested golf course. They only had 9 holes open, and the place was overrun on a lovely day. Well, it started out being a lovely day, and in the end it was a sunny day throughout, but the wind picked up, and it turned out to be a bit of a hurricane. And, of course, my wife, every golfer who has played golf at one point or another, thinks that they should be better than they are, even if it's the very first time they've played. My wife was pretty good, actually. She hit about half the shots well. On the 4th and 5th holes that she played, she actually putted for par on a long par 5. She almost reached it in regulation on the 4th hole she played. So she was doing pretty well, but was adjusting to things that weren't part of her golf environment. It was a walking day. You could only walk. There were no carts available. And she has never been in a golf environment with a 2-strap golf bag, which is what she has, and she could not figure out how to operate it and had no desire to do so. So I ended up lugging 2 golf bags on the day most of the time. And when she carried her light little set of clubs, she carried it like a baby. But we had a good time, and the weather was nice, although it ended up being very, very windy. It probably was blowing 10 miles an hour when we started, and it must have been 40 by the time we were finished. But there's a game that somebody is returning to purely because of the coronavirus and the circumstances we're in. So that's one of the things you can look at when you get something that you do that you never would have done if we weren't in these type of circumstances, like me this week doing lots of gardening. As I mentioned last week, I created a flower garden last week. And the rest of this week, it was several trips to the hardware store, several loads of mulch, things like that. My back is feeling it today, but I think that a lot of people are going to have some of their best gardens in years, and best lawns in years, and best shrubs in years, and a lot of it they will be doing themselves. And that's one thing that one business that I think probably will be thriving a little bit are businesses that relate to gardening, but maybe also they'll suffer a little bit because people have more time to do things by themselves. On Friday, I always do the Danny Unleashed segment with Seren Petro, and always a pleasure to do that. And the weather cooperated on Friday, and I did what I'm going to do each 3 o'clock on Friday, which is to sit in a park. I don't know which park it will be. It was Shawnee Mission Park the other day, watching people play disc golf and skateboard and things like that, and it was relaxing and a good way to unleash opinions while being in a nice, serene setting. So I think that'll be part of my Fridays for the foreseeable future, because, of course, they're being very safe at WHB, and almost all the guests are on the phone. Saturday, how about that? My wife, once again being creative, reached out to 3 couples, and my daughter, who is sequestered in Brooklyn, literally leaves her apartment about once a week, and we had a virtual cocktail party. It was fun. It was nice to see the people on the screen. It would have been much nicer to see them in person, but we spent basically an hour and a half just telling stories and toasting each other virtually and enjoying ourselves. And it's just another way to try and get some human interaction that I think we are seeing more and more in articles I'm reading about how cities are going to adapt to things post-coronavirus, that businesses, people are realizing that, yes, a lot of times you can do some of the things for work or play virtually at home, but that the real human interaction, the hustle and bustle at times of life and seeing people and things like that are important. How we're going to react to that post-coronavirus, I think it's really impossible to tell now how people will want to congregate to the numbers that they want to congregate, what the rise will be in people working from their homes. I think that all remains to be seen, but we'll be seeing it eventually and hopefully not too far in the future. But that was fun. We vowed to do it again in about a month or so. That's what a couple of the people said. Let's check back with each other in about a month or so. And I said, how about tomorrow? That's really the way I felt. We had a good time. It was fun to do, but I think we all will be zoomed out here in a little while because we're doing so much of our lives' work on things like Zoom and FaceTime and things like that. And there's no better FaceTime than face-to-face time, and we hope we're in that category again soon. And then Sunday was Easter, and of course there have been political ramifications and all kinds of different things that have gone on. And but people can still celebrate Easter and see services that are online and gather in very small groups. And on this Easter, I am removed distance-wise from all of my immediate and extended family. Most of them, almost all of them, live in Massachusetts. Some of them live in a couple of other areas. So my niece sent out something on Saturday for the family to get together in mid-afternoon for a virtual Easter dinner with people sharing what they had, not actually eating at the same time. But that was one thing that was fun, and it was a huge group of people rotating through the screen, and it was another good idea. But I think we really will like to get to the point where the word virtual is used a whole lot less in our lives, and we are talking about real things, real sports, real games, real meals, real cocktail parties, real golf games, all those things that we appreciate, and I think we'll appreciate maybe a little bit more. And probably 2 or 3 years down the road, hopefully we will not see huge recurrences in the virus, and we will be returning sort of to our normal lives, but maybe not forget that we can lose these things, and we can be sequestered, and we can be in positions where we don't get to do them, and we're going to have to keep the memory of all the virtual things we had to do instead of the real things we have to do. And, of course, one of those is watching games, and we'll see if we're ever going to get back to that. It seems that way. We will, but slowly but surely we are seeing that 2020 is going to be a year with precious few sporting events. There are slight cracks in the armor as far as that is concerned, too, especially in the Far East. Some things are being done. Leagues are looking at different and creative ways to serve their public. As I mentioned, the NBA had a competition over the weekend. Those are some of the things we'll talk about sports-wise coming up on Monday Musings. SportsWrap, sort of, for this particular Monday in the midst of all we are going through.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Are you thinking of starting a new business? Does your current business feel stuck? Or are you just trying to grow what you already have? Running a business is a lot of work, and it takes the right team to make it all happen. If you're looking to grow your business, call my friends Ben and Greg over at Fuego Consulting. They put together a company that can help you reach your business goals. Whether you're looking to get online, build a social media strategy, or rebrand your business, they can help. Call Fuego at 816-663-9695 or visit them online at fuegoconsulting.com. Fuego Consulting. Let's grow your business together. My friends at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture are among the most accomplished and trusted clinics in the nation. Only one clinic has been rated in the top 5 in all 3 categories of chiropractic care, acupuncture, and rehabilitation, and that clinic is ASFCA. They have locations in Olathe, Overland Park, Prairie Village, Belton, and Lee Summit. Doctors Brad and Christina Woodle and their accomplished team of doctors and therapists will treat you like family, for the simplest of injuries to the most complicated conditions to avoid surgery. Whether you are seeking treatment for an injury or just looking to stay healthy and fit, this is the place for you. And it's been the place for me for almost 2 years now. I have been a strenuous daily exerciser for years, and as time goes on, that takes its toll. But regular appointments at Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture have helped keep me ticking on, and even as the years pile up, their regular care has allowed me to keep to my regimen and feel great. If you want to feel the same, give them a call or visit them at asfca.com/Danny. They accept all insurances and are open Monday through Saturday, and make sure to mention that Danny Clinkscale recommended Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyClinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Welcome back to Monday Musings, Danny's Sports Wrap, and now it's time for all sports. Well, maybe it's all sports, maybe it's sort of sports, maybe it's some sports, maybe it's old sports, and there's precious little new sports. But there's some, I guess. Why don't we talk about past sports a little bit to start? Yesterday, you may have spent some time on Easter Sunday, hopefully enjoying some maybe virtual family time like the Clinkscale clan did, as I mentioned in the opening. Across 9 states, we Zoomed together for an hour or so, but maybe you spent some time as well looking at the Masters Rewind from 2019 and the victory by Tiger Woods. If you want to know what my feelings were right at that time, I put up a blog from last year yesterday. You can get that at my Twitter page or Facebook. Just cursor down. There'll be a link there, and it'll make it easy for you if you don't want to scroll back on the blog page at DannyClinkscale.com. I have to admit I was kind of mastered out by the time yesterday came around, but while we were having our Easter dinner, my wife and I did turn it on, and it was right about the time that the Masters really was won and lost, which was the time when everybody collapsed and hit the ball into the water at 12, and there was some commentary from Tiger Woods at that point in time, too. I didn't really watch the whole thing at all, but one thing I came away with is that Tiger Woods probably would make a pretty good golf commentator. He was very good in commentating about himself. He probably was a little too nice to some of his opponents who he is still playing with, but it was kind of interesting to see, and Tiger gets another extra 6 months of being the defending champion. I'm sure people in fairly large numbers watched the replay, what with there being no golf right now or no sports of really any kind. So Tiger Woods continuing to resuscitate his image a bit, looking pretty good with a beard, which a lot of people are sporting these days. I don't think I'm going back to that. I had one for 20 years, and I don't think I'm going to trot out a partially, at the very least, gray beard at this point in time. But gray beard Tiger Woods got to celebrate that Masters again yesterday, and many people did it with him. Of course, the NBA over the weekend had a couple of actual competitions. Devin Booker becoming the Y2K champion. That wasn't any form of regular basketball, and the NBA also trotted out the start of a horse competition, and they had 8 players involved with it. And as often happens in match play type of situations, it's one of the reasons that golf often doesn't like to try match play more than a smattering of times, and why in their own match play competition they've played a bit of a round robin so that people can't be eliminated. There were 8 people who were playing in the horse challenge, and there are 4 left. And if you would put these people from 1 through 8, as far as notoriety or Q rating or whatever is concerned, what you probably would have gotten were the 4 people who now remain were on the bottom 4. as Hawks All-Star Trae Young, 2020 Hall of Famer Tamika Catchings, NBA Finals MVP from 2008 Paul Pierce, and Oklahoma City Thunder All-Star Chris Paul. They were all knocked out, and the people who are left are Chauncey Billups, Mike Conley Jr., Zach LaVine, and Allie Quigley. Zach LaVine it is, actually, you dummy. And Allie Quigley, who I think probably about 5% of the basketball-watching public even knew who she was when she came up, but she took down what many people thought was the favorite, Chris Young. I think this is fun. They did it on phone video, basically, in yards, driveways, so there was a certain element to that. I watched some highlights. That was enough for me. I don't even when I played basketball a lot, and I mean a lot, I played basketball for hours on end every day for a couple of years of my life. I never liked playing horse very much. The thing I remember about horse the most was basically the arguments that it would bring up, because you're trying to come up with a trick shot or some kind of an odd shot that the other person is going to have trouble making, and their version of it usually didn't satisfy you. You'd make a running left-handed hook shot, and then the other person would make some sort of bastardized version of the same thing, and you'd say, no, that's not good. So that's all I remember about horse, really. And after watching some bank shots and some shots from the corner and things like that on highlight replays, I had about enough. But you know what? Things that we would have had, I wouldn't even have dreamed of even watching 2 seconds of it before this happened. So those semifinals and finals will be on Thursday as the leagues, the teams try basically everything in their power to make themselves a little bit relevant. And maybe in no place are they doing that more right now than in Major League Baseball. Baseball is trotting out trial balloons, some that are embraced and talked about seriously, even eventually, though people are dismissive of them. In Major League Baseball, their first initiative was a couple of weeks ago, and they said they would attempt, perhaps, to take all of their players and send them to Arizona, keep them away from others in a bubble, as it were, and then play all the games in the Phoenix, Arizona area. That generally ended up being poo-pooed, but has not been dismissed by Major League Baseball yet. Then over the weekend, reports started circulating by a number of reporters, Bob Nightingale among them, who is basically a very well-respected baseball writer, that baseball now is also considering playing some games in Florida and some games in Arizona. I didn't remember that there were exactly 15 teams that played in Arizona and 15 teams that play in Florida. I thought the split was a little more in favor of Arizona after the last few years, but it's not. There are exactly 15 teams in Arizona and 15 teams in Florida. So what the report indicated was that baseball was just going to divide for the 2020 season the 30 teams into 6 new divisions of 5, 3 divisions in Florida, 3 divisions in Arizona. And it's an interesting talking point, I'll say that. Now, this was reported by USA Today and a couple other entities, MLB, discussed on CBS. Today on ESPN, Jeff Passan almost completely dismissed it, and they barely talked about it. Said that it had been raised, but it has logistical issues that are far, and legal issues that are far worse than the one in Arizona. I don't know about that, but it's more interesting to talk about than the Arizona plan, I will say that, because you have actual divisions that are being run out there. Now, for instance, the Royals would play in this division, and this would be a pretty darn good division to play in for them because it's hardly stacked. And of course, we know the teams that are close to the Royals from times in surprise, and they would play in a division with the Cactus League Northwest with Milwaukee, San Diego, the Mariners, the Rangers, and the Royals. Obviously, the Rangers and the Royals share a complex. The Padres and the Mariners share a complex. They wouldn't even have to travel at all. I didn't see this written specifically, but what my assumption is that all the games are going to be divisional games, I guess, or maybe just a few will be played against the other teams from the other divisions in your area. Nobody from Florida would play in Arizona. But it's kind of interesting, if only as an exercise to look at the division. So why don't we do it? This is the type of thing we do these days. It's kind of fun. So the Florida North would be the Yankees, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, and the Pirates. Good representative division. Yankees would probably love it. That's a heck of a lot easier than the American League East. So there you go. The Florida South would be the Red Sox, the Twins, the Braves, Tampa Bay, and the Orioles. Well, the poor Orioles, that's what I'd say in that one. That's a pretty hefty division. That's pretty competitive. That's pretty fun. And Florida East would be the Nationals, the Astros, the Mets, the Cardinals, and the Marlins. Another pretty good one. Probably the South, to me, would be the toughest there. Don't you like this analysis of something that probably isn't going to ever happen? In the Cactus League Northeast, it would be the Cubs, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, and the Athletics. Cubs and Athletics would be significant favorites there, we think, maybe along with the Diamondbacks. That's a pretty representative division. In fact, the Cactus League divisions all seem pretty good, except maybe the West, which the Dodgers would be, in all likelihood, a fairly prohibitive favorite, as they would be the Dodgers, the White Sox, the Reds, the Indians, and the Angels. And, of course, I talked about the Cactus League Northwest. I don't know about the legalities, but that proposal seems like more fun. It seems more interesting. It's a little bit different. We're looking for different things these days. I think the percentages in both of these, apparently from all reports, that the percentage of this particular plan, while more fun and more interesting to me, seem to be much lower. The Arizona proposal, by many reports, is the one that baseball is trying to embrace the most and go forward if they're going to be able to do anything. As I mentioned in the first segment, we're seeing some cracks of light. Maybe there's a little more optimism that sports can be played a little bit sooner, that the virus is going to be a little bit easier to mutate or mute in a shorter period of time. This all remains to be seen, but it was kind of fun to run through those divisions. But as I said, I don't think we are going to see pennant races, unfortunately, in the Cactus League Northeast or Northwest or the Florida North or Florida East anytime in the near future, or probably forever and ever. They are actually playing baseball somewhere, real professional baseball where the games count. Over the weekend, the Chinese Baseball Association started playing games with no fans. Well, with no real fans. A team in Taiwan that plays in Taiwan. I had the name in front of me, but I don't have it here anymore. It doesn't matter. Team plays in Taiwan, and for their game, they had robots in the stands and mannequins. And some of the robots beat on drums to create some atmosphere. It's pretty creepy, actually, if you want to look it up online. But they are actually playing baseball, and they are actually doing it in front of pseudo fans, as both of those nations still are under a stay-at-home order, or the Chinese Baseball League, Taiwan, China. They are still doing that as well. So if you want a glimpse of what we hope isn't the future, I can't imagine Major League Baseball embracing this robot idea, but you never know. Maybe they'll just put video of rowdy fans on the Jumbotron out in center field or wherever it's located in a spring training park or in Arizona or wherever they play or don't play. But there you go. Chinese baseball actually being played. I saw 5 video clips of a couple home runs, and a fine defensive play. So if you want a baseball fix, real baseball that counts by players who are getting paid, you can look for Chinese baseball videos online. I'm sure you will enjoy that. There was a moment of terror for me last week as reports circulated that several NFL teams, maybe many NFL teams, wanted to push the NFL draft back to August. Terror for me because the last thing in my life I need would have been more draft talk all the way until August. I am over hearing about Tua. I never want to hear his name again. The speculation on him goes on and on and on. When I work out in the morning, the entertainment choices are not rich as far as I'm concerned. I don't usually like to watch a comedy show or whatever. I usually try to stick to sports. On the weekends, it's better because sometimes now will be old golf matches or old soccer games. So in the end, reluctantly, I end up a lot of times watching the Get Up show on ESPN with Mike Greenberg and assorted guests. I think it's a decent show. but it's almost all NFL now, and it's almost all the same topics, and I would say half of it is Tua. And I'll tell you what, thank goodness this report seemed to like pop up and then disappear into thin air, because the draft is 10 days away. That's great for me. I can wait 10 days and try to avoid all the news. I think I know everything I need to know. I actually enjoy watching the draft itself. There'll be a curiosity factor because it was announced today that the commissioner, Roger Goodell, is actually going to make the picks from his basement. And I think that we'll probably all get to see what a grand basement a man who makes upwards of $50 million a year can build. He'll probably actually try to make it a little bit less ostentatious for the camera, I would guess. But one thing I won't miss, which many people may miss for its comic value, is the bro hug of the first rounders, one after the other, from the most awkward-looking bro hugger maybe of all time in Roger Goodell. But I'll just say one thing here in regards to the Get Up show. Many of the analysts they have are fine. They do a great job. But they have decided that for entertainment value, the comedy team of Swagoo and Dan Orlovsky is a hoot. And it's mostly based on the fact that Dan Orlovsky says a bunch of absolutely ridiculous things, and that tries to frustrate good old Swagoo. Well, I've about had it, and today might have been the absolute topper, as they asked poor Orlovsky, who I think knows that he has become their Skip Bayless or whatever, to come up with 3 things he wants to see in the first round, and he came up with 3 of the most outrageous things. I'm not even going to give them justification by saying what they were, but it's just the type of thing that I think we're so desperate now to create some kind of entertainment, and you have to till the same field over and over again so many times in sports, particularly if you're micro-focusing on just the National Football League in a 2-hour show or maybe an hour and 40 minutes of the content. Sorry, there's a lot of commercials on that show, so there's not an hour and 40 minutes of content in total, but let's just say 85 to 90% of the show is about the National Football League, and they have to go over the same topics over and over again, and so Orlovsky gets to trot out some out-of-this-world silliness and then frustrate the other people on the panel. So that's it. I'm leaving that alone after that little bit of me venting for the things that I get to do in, thankfully, a little workout basement that was prepared before the coronavirus came upon us, and it really has been something that it's been really nice. We didn't have to go out and create it. It already was created, and it certainly is quite a bit of a refuge as I try and find some sports to watch down in my deep, not-so-dark basement and try to get some sports and crank up some sports, and it seems like maybe we've crept ever so closer to doing just that over the last several days or so. We're still a long way off, but there is seemingly a little bit of hope. That'll do it for this Monday on Monday Musings, Danny's Sports Wrap. It's just part of the full package at DannyKlinkscale.com and the Reasonably Irreverent podcast. One thing that I think maybe people have not taken advantage of enough is the team page at DannyKlinkscale.com. And 9 area teams, all the Chiefs, Royals, Sporting, and the colleges each have their own page. Stories refresh on a regular basis. There's 10 of them that rotate. Just go there and click on the picture of your favorite team, and you'll get a lot of information. It's the only thing on the site where I don't create the content myself, basically. Now, in the podcast, I speak with many excellent people and sports experts and music experts and things like that, but that's all created fresh there. This is material from other sources, and I think you'll enjoy a one-stop shop there, maybe when you get up and have your cup of coffee in the morning. That's just one of the things we feature at DannyKlinkscale.com. We appreciate you coming over in greater and greater numbers. They've always been very, very good and gratifying all along. When you're staying at home, you've taken advantage of it even more. I thank you for that, and we'll continue to bring you as much as I can possibly crank out from my little office here and from my basement and every place else right here at DannyKlinkscale.com and the Reasonably Irreverent podcast.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like the law offices of Kenneth McRae, developing a unique strategy for your family law case. Divorce can be civil law, not civil war.